So since we're all here, I want to call the meeting to order so that we can have the traffic study presentation done and we don't have to keep him for long on the meeting in case we have any questions. So
Thank you, Mayor.
sure.
So just a little background before I turn it over to Pavan from Pinoni. This request came from you all as we continue to have issues and discussion about Lafayette, 46th Avenue, Ingraham, and how we can deal with truck traffic, parking, and whether we should block the street off, whether we should do no trucks. And so I met with representatives from Pinoni. They are the traffic engineers for Hyattsville, the city of Hyattsville, and they do work. They're a national company and are well known across the country and throughout the region. And if you have more questions about that, Pavan can obviously tell you that today. But what they would be looking at is the ingress and egress from the industrial park via 46th Avenue, Lafayette, and Taylor. They would look at the residential streets of Gallatin, Hamilton, and Ingraham, possible closure of Lafayette at Ingraham, use of controlled access installations to limit, deter truck traffic in the residential neighborhoods, restricting truck traffic, parking on specified streets, investigating signage, pavement marking, street closures, limited access, traffic calming. They would take a look at the 46th and Decatur intersection and see what improvements potentially might be suggested for there. And then one of the things that came up in your economic development study and over again was how could we get better access to the Hyattsville Arts District across the tracks? And so they would take a look at that. So I believe, Pavan, have I covered everything that you can? If not, then I'll introduce Pavan Vapuri with Pinoni, and he can answer questions and certainly more detail than I just gave.
I think he'll say you were very detailed as usual.
I'm just really excited about this project because we've for so many years we've just had so many problems with this traffic issues in this area, and so if this can solve many things, that will be a great benefit to us.
Yeah, so many questions and ideas and wacky ideas and things like that. So this will get us on the right track. Pavan, we're ready for you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Oh, thank you for the opportunity. And yeah, I'm here to answer any questions that you guys have. Because of course, right now we are at a proposal stage, and our initial step would be to go gather all the available data and also try to collect traffic data on all these intersections, including speed, pedestrian, and traffic and truck volumes. So once we get all the basic data, that will, of course, give us an idea on what the problems are and how to solve them. And then we'll come up with the concepts and provide it to the team, and then take it to the next steps. But data would be our first step to attack, and we will actually get onto that as soon as we get the notice to proceed on this, if the council agrees.
Pavan, how timeline? What kind of timeline would we be looking at for the completion of the information?
That's a tricky question at this point, because typically we do data collection during the school, when schools are in progress. But here, school, I mean, the real traffic is not the problem. It's the truck traffic and the speeds and the neighborhood cut through. So I think we can actually skip the, the portion of school opening for the data collection. So we can actually go ahead and start a data collection at any point of time. So our initial thoughts are 90 days. We'll have an end result. We can come up with a concept and our findings with a report and a concept level drawing. But if council or if the town needs anything, any of these particular issues to be addressed upfront, yeah, we can actually tackle them sooner rather than later. But 90 days is our estimated time frame on this.
Okay. I know Brian is on vacation this week. That's a great thing that he got to go. But I forgot to mention to him, when we initially talked, we talked about also having you look at the intersection of Kenilworth and Decatur in terms of the traffic light signals there that the state has. For the council's benefit, Brian Young, the manager with Benoni, is a former Maryland Department of Transportation rep, and he knows our streets and particularly the state highway intersection there well. So maybe I need to get with him, Pavan, and see. I guess maybe he was going to do that separately as a kind of a separate little study, since it's far away from the 46th Avenue area.
And also, if it involves coordination with other state entities, that actually pushes the timeline, and probably that might be the reason that he wanted to do that as a separate.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. But I'll definitely bring this up to him and ask him to get in touch with you.
I know Mr. Johnson, that's his favorite intersection, and I know we want to try to come up with some solutions for him and from a safety standpoint, and for others that cross the street there.
So if we, the traffic study, you said 90 days?
Yes.
Okay. And mainly you wait for school to open because it's, of course, heavier traffic.
Yeah, and we get typically, yes, during the school days, and unfortunately last 2 years we do not have any traffic data because of COVID. So, well, I mean, we are hoping that, starting this September, the traffic will come back to normalcy, whatever the new normal is. So, so hopefully we'll get a good traffic data. But for this particular study, I do not believe, at least for the truck traffic cut through and the truck restrictions, I do not believe there will be an issue with the traffic data count. So we'll try to, because this is more like a commercial corridor. So we'll try to collect the data even if there is no school in progress. So at least we can tackle the truck issue in the corridor. And maybe for the pedestrian path and access to Hyattsville Art District, I'll discuss with our highway engineers and see if collecting data would be appropriate when the schools are in progress. So probably that particular point, we might push it to maybe end of August or September. But the industrial corridor, the ingress, egress, and the truck traffic issues, that I'm pretty confident that we should be able to tackle that even without schools in progress.
We do have school buses that go through the residential area off of Decatur, off of Taylor, off of Lafayette. So there are some buses that do use that as a route.
Okay. Okay. So do you anticipate a lot of pedestrian and school kids walking through the neighborhoods during the school, when school is in progress?
Walking through, such as during school hours? Is that what you're saying, Benson?
No. I mean, walking, using the facilities along Lafayette and other neighborhood streets.
Pavan, the corner of Lafayette and Taylor is a bus stop typically, and then the children from Hamilton and Gallatin walk to Riverdale, down Riverdale, or down Taylor Road to the elementary school, and so the bus traffic wouldn't be so much in Lafayette, but it would be on Taylor, and then the children walking would be Hamilton, Gallatin, and Lafayette.
And bus traffic on Decatur and 52nd area.
Yeah.
Okay, so in that case, we may have to postpone the turning moment counts just to capture the pedestrian traffic and school kids, just to make sure that we have all the information. But we can actually start with speed data or collecting the speed data along the corridors That's because that will not really have any impact if schools are in progress or not. I mean, the lesser the traffic on the streets, higher the speeds. So this is a perfect time for us to collect the traffic for the speeds so that we can get the actual feel of it. So we may have to push the traffic data collection for some intersections where it's predominant activity with pedestrians and kids during the school session. Those intersections, we may have to push it to end of August, and we will schedule them as soon as school opens. So even with that, I think we are still within the time range. So we'll still have 6 to 8 weeks after schools open. So I think we should still be able to produce the report and concept plan within 90 days.
All right, thank you. I saw Councilmember Chester has her hand up.
I'm just wondering if you could please describe maybe in a little more detail what the results, what format the report recommendations would be in. You mentioned like line drawings, and just like what level of detail would those design options or design recommendations be? Would they be enough detail that we would be able to use that for planning purposes, or is it more generalized than that? And we would then still have to go through a whole process of really having the options kind of engineered out to be costed out?
No, we expect to come up with a pretty decent concept plan. Like, for example, we'll say that, install a crosswalk here or install a curb ramp. And then we will actually look into, for example, if there is an option to install a curb ramp, we will look at the stormwater and all those, and then we'll say that, yeah, it's feasible to install a a curb ramp here. So this needs to be installed and it would cost X amount of money. So we will go in detail, but that will not be enough for you to send it out to a contractor and say that, hey, come and install it here, because that needs some engineering drawings to be developed. In case if you guys like that option, then it will move forward into engineering plan development. But for the planning purpose and for budgeting purposes, and to get a feel of what type of changes that this corridor is going to take place, I think our report and our concept roadmap will definitely give you a good idea about cost and then the type of improvements that we are suggesting.
You may get a cost estimate of $2 million to do a pedestrian bridge across the railroad tracks, and so that's a item that you wouldn't want to move forward with, or maybe you'd want to put it out in the planning process 5 years out or 10 years out, that kind of thing, right, Pavan?
Yes, and yeah, so we'll definitely break down different items. And for example, if you're talking about just adding some signs along the corridor, that might take just a few $1,000s, and you can tackle that right away. And yeah, as Mr. Brents mentioned, if there's a big ticket item, that can always be holded back. So it will be detailed enough for you to make your planning decisions, both traffic-wise and budget-wise, I assume. Yeah.
Pardon me. I see your hand up, Ms. Tuberville, but Rick sent a message to everyone, not everyone, I think Ms. Chester and Tuberville, to turn your cameras away from the window. It's a beautiful view. I think Ms. Tuberville, you must have closed your blinds. Is that good, Rick? And then Ms. Chester, you need to move to the middle somehow.
I'm outside.
Oh, yay. I know, that's the beauty of outside.
I was trying to be as unevasive as possible.
I know, but I'd rather do it now than later during the council meeting.
I'll move inside during the actual meeting.
Is that okay, Rick?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, so you can turn it back to the beautiful window. Because it looks kind of, that's good right there, right? Okay, Ms. Tuberville.
I was just curious about whether or not this study will also take into account maybe, something we've thought about doing, Pavan, is like taking some of those industrial areas or spaces and making them into something that would be more publicly accessible, sort of retail, other things like that, right? That like would necessitate changes to parking and availability of parking for the public. And would that be included in what you are assessing?
I do not believe that's included in this particular task. I will be happy to discuss on that, but I do not believe that would be included in this task at this point. Is that right, Mr. Brand?
Yes, that's correct. We didn't ask for, future looking at if the zoning changes and allows, for instance, residential and retail in that particular area. We can certainly go back and have them tell us what that would add to the project, if that's something that the council would like to have.
Yeah, maybe that's something we can discuss. I don't know if we need to have Pavan here for that, but since we have, we did have an opportunity that fell through because of challenges with parking. I think that this is going to continue to be a problem for us. And if we have an opportunity to be able to assess what we would need to make that like a really viable space for public interest, then I think it'd be good to do that.
Absolutely.
And then,
I
okay,
can
and-
find out. Yeah, I can find out. I mean, that may even be a kind of an addendum that's added on, and at what cost would that add on to this particular project? So, yeah.
And then Mayor, I had something else for us to discuss relative to this that
Go ahead.
I think would be useful, but I don't know. It's not a question for.
It's okay. Go ahead.
So I just wonder if we might want to have some discussions or a discussion with the Hyattsville Council and Mayor about our looking at having pedestrian access to the Arts District, because it could potentially be something that they would be interested in supporting with us. And I wonder if it might be useful to just get them kind of bought in and interested early on, rather than kind of after the fact and after we do this study.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. That's a great question, great idea. I've talked with them on the side, but I think something official, as you're suggesting, would be fantastic. Yeah.
I had a conversation with their public works director, Leslie Riddle, about that very topic, and indicated that we were going to be taking a look at that it was part of our study out of our economic development analysis that's going to be presented in October final report, and that we would be interested in. And she indicated they would love to have conversations
Okay.
from a staff standpoint. That wasn't, I'm sure she wasn't speaking on for the mayor council, but certainly from a staff standpoint.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I think they'll love it, honestly. And they know that they're an extension of Edmonston. I am sure that Hyattsville knows that. Their growth is because of us. I definitely let them know that. So, yeah.
And
so that's great.
Conversely, Riverdale Park, Mayor Gant is going to be walking with the mayor from Riverdale Park. I've forgotten now when the date is. I think
We got rained out the last time.
Yeah. And actually looking at Lafayette. While they're not excited about putting Lafayette through as a street, they're interested in pedestrian and bicycle access and getting better connection to the MARC station. So,
Okay.
so I think both communities, Councilmember Turberville, would be receptive to those conversations.
Great.
All right, super. All right, if we don't have any more questions, concerns? If you have some, of course, afterwards, you can contact Mr. Barnes, and he can definitely get in touch with Mr. Pavan. Yes. Thank you so much for sharing with us this evening and the information provided. And we'll talk to you soon. You don't have to stay on, that's for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thanks for the opportunity to present our proposal here.
Fantastic.
Looking forward to working with you all.
We are too. We're excited.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good evening, everyone.
You too. You too.
You too.
I actually said, Rick's email text said Avery, but I don't see Avery behind a window. So that's why I said Hillary.
No,
But
she
anyway.
moved. Avery moved.
Oh, okay. I didn't notice. Okay, great. Fantastic. Hillary, you were fine then because he didn't mention you. So you can stay outside, put your camera back towards that beautiful window, and you're all good. Okie dokie. So, of course, we'll have public comments tonight at our regular meeting. And we're allowing the opportunity for the residents to speak on how it's not a listening session, but it could be a listening session where they're just going to express, and we'll stress that it's just them expressing what they've gone through, how they feel, and they'll get that beautiful 3 minutes. I wish we had a 3-minute timer. They'll get that beautiful 3 minutes or so. I don't want to be rude, but 3 minutes or so to express how they feel, because we have invited legislators to attend the meeting tonight to hear from our residents. They need to hear the stories. I think that it's important. That's what we're here for. So as council members and mayor, we're here to hear from our residents, and we're here to do something about it. If we can't do something at our level, then it's our responsibility to push it up so that a change could happen. We can't perform miracles or anything like that, and some things are just out of order and we can't do it. But that's what we're here for. We're public servants. So that's why I call the other public servants, the ones that work at the State House, the ones that work in DC. I have a representative from Ben Cardin's office coming, County Council. They have agreed to come now. Whether they'll show up or not, we know that it's a high election season. So some said that they definitely would come. And it didn't matter if they actually came, but someone from their team, so that they can hear what's happening and say it to them. So we have delegates, I believe a county council member, Ben Cardin's office. I think we might have someone from not DPW, but somewhere along that line. And is Denise coming? Did we invite Denise? I don't remember.
We did, but I don't believe she indicated she was
She
going
would come.
to.
Yeah.
Senator Pinsky's office was going to, then he was impacted by the storm last night, so he was without power and
I
had to.
sent another email to Susan saying, a representative, please. I mean, he doesn't have to come. A representative can come just to hear and tell him about it. So that's good. That's the goal. I don't know why I'm stuttering. That's the goal for this evening for our residents. And I will stress that there will be no answers tonight, but just so that they can hear. Any comments on that?
No,
Or
sounds good to
suggestions?
me.
Any suggestions? So we sent emails and phone calls to those legislators. We pretty much said the same story, Mr. Barnes and I, and we did get some good traction, I believe. I believe we did. We got great responses. Jolene's office, Jolene Ivy's office was on it. And sent that email. I emailed Jolene Ivy. She sent the email to county exec's office, correct? County exec's office. And so my intention was to email the county exec's office, but oh well, she did it. And also, I think they got in contact with DPW and Mr. Barnes. He forwarded an email to Pinsky's office. I told you guys, Delegate Washington. So everyone is on it. Ann Healy called me, but it is election season again. So this is a great time to call on our legislators for what we need now. And it doesn't hurt. And I can send you an email with context, but I know I have a resourceful council. It doesn't hurt for them to hear from all of us ever. If there's anything that we're dealing with, and I know I said we're dealing with it, we're doing it. I can in the future, near future, say, go ahead and send an email as well. I don't know if you have, but it's always good for them to hear from a lot of people. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and we also, at the mayor's direction, we sent email to Don Hawkins Nixon, who is the stormwater management director for Prince George's County, and to Charlie Griffin,
Oh, yeah.
the other stormwater manager underneath her that we've had conversation with multiple times, who's been here. So we have them on the list. And then Denise Ross is the, what is her title? She's like
She's the county exec's
liaison between the county
liaison.
exec
That's exactly what she is, the liaison.
and the mayors of the county. And she called and indicated that she actually was working it to set up a meeting with the appropriate county departments. So I think that was a result of Jolene Ivy's information going to the county exec's office and getting them excited about it. And then Riverdale Park has joined in, and so Councilmember Glaros indicated that she wanted to be involved in the conversations and wanted to participate in the meetings, and as well as the mayor of Riverdale Park, and because they also had flooding in homes in Riverdale Park.
Thank you, Mr. Barnes. So we're all on the same page with that. It's just that we're going to listen and hear from our residents tonight. I just want to go back to am I pronouncing it correctly? Pannoni.
Benoni.
So tonight, it's the consideration of the proposal for Pannoni. So we'll vote on that proposal and what he presented tonight. Okay. All good? Mhm.
Well, Mayor, I mean, I had suggested a potential expansion of what the scope of work was for them. So should we?
That would be an amendment. And so I will
Okay.
ask them to do that as an amendment and bring it back to you for approval once
Okay.
they cost it out, because that could be costly.
Okay.
Looking at the parking. And so,
Okay, so we'll do it as is for now.
yeah, that way we
Okay.
can get moving and get going forward. We've kind of had this in the air for a long time.
No question about the funding?
That's ARPA funding.
No, I was just asking, did they have any questions?
Oh.
How funny. You
Is
gave
that
it away.
Is that a fair price given the kind of level of detail of the plans that we'll get from them? That it sounds.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think they're being more than fair. I actually, for what I saw, time wise, personnel wise, I thought it'd be a whole lot more. So I thought it was
Yeah,
awesome.
I was excited. I thought it was a great price, but I also was excited because they're Hyattsville's engineer, and they've done work for Riverdale Park, and Brian Young, the major manager on this project, worked for State Highway, and so they know all of the ins and outs. They know 202,
Is there some in the kitchen, in the microwave? Oh,
201.
Microwave.
Microwave. They know 201, they know Alt 1, they know all of those kinds of connections. So I really think they're a superb choice and also a great price.
yeah, the thing I went on was the reputation and the relationship with the surrounding communities. Pricing wise, I didn't know what was good or not. So I went by the reputation and them knowing us, or knowing that they've done business with those municipalities and they would treat us right. So I'll be calling for a motion tonight for that. So the next item is the, Edmonston Beautiful, Mr. Barnes.
Right, we're applying again for Edmonston Beautiful program, and we're also doing a business facade improvement program application. Again, we've had both of those, $50,000 is the current program with Edmonston Beautiful. The last time 2 years ago, we were successful with the facade program. We also had $50,000. The state actually, Ashley, the lady that we work with there, asked us to up our ask to 100,000. So that was a good sign. But they love our Edmonston Beautiful program, and continues to be of a great benefit here in the community. And this is just the resolution supporting those applications.
Mhm. So we all love and believe in Edmonston Beautiful, correct?
Yep.
And so that's going to be on the agenda for approval. So the next item is, we added this item. It's the consideration of approval for the town attorney to request a state of Maryland Attorney General opinion on whether, and it's the Maryland State Attorney General, to request their opinion on whether the payment of process requested by Ultimate for the speed camera be installed on Kenilworth Avenue meets the requirements of the state. So what they've presented, we need to check with the Attorney General to see if it meets the requirement of the state. And what we will be voting on is to say, yes, Sue Ellen, we'd like you to draft a letter and send it to the state, the Attorney General, on our behalf. Any questions? No questions?
So this is just to figure out whether or not we can even have sort of language in our code that at some point to consider and perhaps install these kind of, whether it's red light camera or speed camera, right? Like we would
No, you
still have to
already-
go through a whole process of reviewing an actual proposal with rates and things. This is totally separate from that, correct?
You've passed the ordinance to allow the cameras in Edmonston.
Mhm.
What you haven't approved is the final contract. Chief has been going back and forth with Ultimate for that contract, and he hasn't presented it to you because he was waiting for Sue Ellen's response, which I'm not going to speak for the chief. So today we got Sue Ellen's response. And so, Chief, am I correct?
Okay, just let me drop back a little bit so everybody has a good understanding about where we are with this contractual agreement between the town and this vendor. There is language in the contract that our town attorney doesn't agree with and does not believe it's lawful. That language is to charge a fee as based on what the contractor calls a lookup fee. That language, our town attorney says she doesn't believe that is legal under the legislation that was passed that allows municipalities and counties to have a speed program in the first place. And so Sue Ellen sent back her response to me. I shared it with the mayor and Rod. And so now it's legalese, legal language in the contract that says that charging a per lookup, in other words, they have to look up the tag and get information on the owner in order for the city to, receive revenue for this service. And so that is a kind of a sticking point for Sue Ellen. She sent that to us today. And now we're asking that a state legal representative review the language and give us their opinion. And that's where we are.
So we're still trying to figure out whether we can implement such a program. But now we're looking at whether we can implement such a program as presented by this specific vendor. But we still haven't done the sort of numbers calculation and evaluation. That's
So
still
we're beyond that now. If that language from the contract had been blessed by Sue Ellen, just that phrase I spoke of a moment ago, I would have presented to the council and the mayor that we approved the program. The ordinance is in place indicating that the town can have a speed program. And all we're doing is fine tuning the language in the contract for compensation purposes.
But I thought we were going to look at that to figure out whether it makes sense for us so that we're not kind of holding the bag and paying more than revenue would be coming in. Because I think that was there were some questions about whether there would always or guaranteed be more revenue than cost. And we wanted to look at that. But it turned out before we could make that kind of assessment, we had to back up and figure out whether we could have one in the town. And then we're going through that kind of legal review. So I thought we were still, hadn't even really looked at whether financially it makes sense, given the short length of kind of territory where this could be mounted out on Kenilworth. And so kind of the enforcement area, is that enforcement area big enough to catch enough people to meet sort of our minimum cost so that we're
So I was of the
not losing
opinion
money.
that you had seen that information. They did a traffic study 3 months ago. And the traffic study, as well as a proposed contract, came from the vendor to the town. We in turn send it to Sue Ellen for the legalese. But if she says this looks okay, then we present it and everybody has an opportunity to read it. And we'll have a conversation about those things you just spoke about.
Mhm.
But from the traffic study, there's more than enough violations that would justify, and I know you haven't seen it, but it more than
No.
justifies the speed program. It's just hundreds of them within a short period of time, coming from both directions, both north and south on Kenilworth Avenue.
So just that has not been shared with us, so we haven't been able to evaluate that. That's still in the future, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
And the sooner we see that, the sooner we can keep going with it if Sue Ellen blesses that contract. So I guess, Chief, the sooner you can get that information to us.
This is a legal matter now.
No,
The mayor has,
the information you
council.
have, the information you have saying what, that they did the traffic analysis. And you're saying that there's more than enough violations to cover us on this. And you said you have that information. So the sooner you can get that to all the council, then when Sue Ellen gets the legal matter, then we already have the numbers in front of us and we can go. But if we have to wait to get that information from you until Sue Ellen gets her information, that's gonna just take longer because I know you said you had it, and I know you said you're gonna pass it to the council. Mr. Barnes or Tracy, do you all have it yet? That information?
I'm confused.
Okay, if I'm correct, the chief says they did a check on all the violations north and south. If I'm right, Chief, and you said there's more than enough violations, hundreds of them, that the program will pay for it, and you have that information.
yes, and I disseminated it to both Rod and the mayor a couple of months ago. But I don't want to serve you your potatoes and your meat's not ready. And so that's why, you like that? And that's why we
As a
sent it to
council
Sue.
member,
Ellen.
we should have that information. It shouldn't be held from us. We need to know that, because if not, we're just 4 lumps, of coal waiting for the potatoes to be put on top of us to be cooked.
Can I ask a question? I mean, at this point, we're just wanting to know if the way we pay the vendor is going to be legal. And the way that the vendor has presented the payment structure is that it would be sort of a pay per violation, kind of like they get a cut for each violation that they flag. Is that correct?
The law prohibits a fee,
Okay, so then,
citation.
okay, so then what is, So then
So
what is the fee structure that we're asking for an AG opinion on?
We asked the vendor to propose it. And so the vendor proposed a per lookup fee. Somebody has to, here's what happens. There's
Okay.
a violation.
Chief, if I could, I'm just going to read Sue Ellen's last suggestion, her suggestion. And then you can go ahead. My suggestion is that the town request an opinion from the Attorney General's office on the issue of whether basing the contract price on registration lookup is compliant with the state code.
Got it. So it's like we're trying to create sort of a way to legitimately do this that is not a paper violation, but it's like something a little short of that. In short, I got it. Okay. And because if we get an attorney general opinion, then that is going to legally protect us
That
in
protects
case
us.
we're subsequently sued because we've relied on their advice.
Right.
Got it. Okay. So attorney general comes back and says, nope, you're just trying to do some workaround. This is essentially the same as a paper violation kind of deal. You need to come back and you just need to have like the contract that is structured that it's, you pay this month to the vendor monthly. So we can then assess that. But I think what would be really useful is for us to have an understanding of like, what is the revenue that we think we can generate?
Mhm.
Like, and so that's why I think Chief, you know, when Betsy's asking for like wanting to know what the study is, that we want to see that sooner than later, because we might be having to go back to the drawing board on assessing whether or not this is a viable thing to begin with.
So you're saying to put that before the opinion from the Attorney General?
No, I think we should do both. I think we should get an opinion from the AG,
Okay.
but I think that we should be looking at the report now in case the AG is like, y'all got to start over.
At least we know what kind of numbers we're looking at.
Chief?
I can send it to everybody in the morning and then we'll go from there.
Thank you.
So tonight, since this is on the agenda, so we're saying, yes, go ahead and
Yes.
send it, okay. Allow Sue Ellen to do so. Okay. Chief, did you have any more comments with that, or you want to clarify anything further?
No, I think we're okay. I'll pass it along. Everybody will get a chance to see what the vendor proposed and Sue Ellen's comments with respect to it.
And we'll
So-
also get the study that the vendor did on the traffic, on the number of violations that they saw.
I'm sorry.
I said, and then we will also get what the vendor sent you on the violations that they said that they saw going in both directions, north and south.
Yes.
Okay.
I guess I would just throw out my question from before, which is there's no independent way to sort of see what the violation rate could be, or because it seems like we're relying on the vendor to say, oh yeah, we're all going to make plenty of money, which is just, you know, a little less than the most objective. I mean, if I was trying to make a sale, I would demonstrate that like, oh yeah, we're, you know, plenty of violations. And so if there's an objective measure, if there's more objective data, that seems like it would be helpful, but.
The vendor provides that information and we
Right,
get
so-
to make a determination as to whether we want to move forward based on the information or do something different.
So there's no more objective source of data other than the vendor trying to sell this product.
Do you want
Right.
to sit out there?
Question from,
We'll get a lawn chair. We'll sit out there with our iced tea and watch how many cars go in each direction.
So I'm just saying, we rely on our vendor. We also use this same company for our red light program. And, you know, you could always get a second opinion, ask another company to come in and take a look at it. Generally, municipalities don't do that. I believe that this company used to be Opta Traffic. They have about 10 municipalities in Prince George's County where they do speed.
Mhm.
And so they just sent us a copy of the contract that they use for the other municipalities. One specifically, I was talking to the mayor about it earlier, is Chevrolet. They use this company, they use the same kind of enforcement. They have the same per registration lookup fee. Registration is simply the information from the tag, you know, the owner's address and tag number.
Mm.
Mayor, were you gonna say something?
No, I just deleted a document. I didn't mean to delete.
So that's where we are.
Okay. Well, Chief, you can continue. If there are no more comments, we already know how we're going to vote for this. You're going to, next item is your report.
Oh, I thought we were
There
doing
anything-
7.
Yeah, but is there anything that you need to inform us of, or you want to talk about Shepherd leaving, anything like that?
Oh, I see. I was waiting until 7 o'clock to do that, but I can go on for another hour.
No, what we want is a highlight, or if there's anything we need to know, or, you know, are you buying something new or anything like that?
Okay, all right. Just for information of the mayor and council, several personnel matters have occurred within the town of Edmonston Police Department. Officer Shepherd has resigned his position as a police officer. His last day is today. He indicated to us last week that he was going to a new municipality. He also indicated that salary was a factor, and that new municipality paid at least $12,000 more than he's making in the town of Edmonston. And he wants to take care of his family, so he made a decision. Today is going to be his last day. We wish him well in all of his future endeavors, and we will definitely stay in touch with Officer Shepherd because he has truly been an asset to the town of Edmonston over the last 15 months. And like I said, we wish him well. Also, since the last time we met, Officer Young also resigned. He's going across Kenilworth Avenue to Bladensburg. I don't know if you folks have heard. He gave us notice. They informed him that they could get him $10,000 more than he's making here in the town of Edmonston, but he has to be a patrol officer and not a patrol supervisor. And Officer Young has been a supervisor with us for maybe the last 4 or 5 years. So he left week before last, and you know, we see him every day. He's across the street, but it has gotten to be an issue with some municipalities as it relates to salary. And the mayor and I have had conversations over time about some of these other municipalities having the ability to offer more to their new hires than we have with the folks that have tenure with Edmonston. And so we wish them well. We have advertised the position, and we probably have about 70 applicants. So in the next maybe week and a half, we'll start that process of interviewing applicants for a position of a sworn officer in the town of Edmonston. We are preparing for National Night Out, which is Tuesday, August the 2nd, 2022, from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. We're going to be outdoors at the Recreation Center, and we have so many logistical things that are going on. We're going to have a lot of games, rides, foods, music, entertainment, raffles, and a lot of other things. And as we get closer, we had a meeting yesterday, and we were just trying to finalize a lot of different things. We're almost ready to go. We're just trying to get, a little bit close and fine tune a few things. But for the most part, we're ready. We don't have any other decisions to make. And Monday, we're going to put the word out to, all municipalities, legislators, town officials, residents, guests and others, Facebook, our channel, Constant Contact, our television station. We're going to put up flyers. We have 5 large banners that we're going to put up around the town. We're going to go building by building at Fountain Park. We're sending out mailers to the private homes, and we're going to personally visit the apartment complex. So on Monday, you'll start to see all of the signage and other things that are advertising National Night Out for the town of Edmonston. Again, that's Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022. I think that's all I have. We have our bicycles in. I know you all haven't had the opportunity to see them. They're sitting back in our squad room. But we got some nice bicycles, and a couple of the officers are trained, and some of them aren't. So, we can very easily put an officer on a bike and have him doing a little business. And we expect to do that in the next week or so. But I just wanted to let everybody know we got the bicycles in. So we have 3 bicycles, the town of Edmonston, that are operational. And we just have to make sure that the officers have the training class to ride the bikes. But other than that, I think I sent out a message over a week or so ago. We had an award ceremony sponsored by Prince George's County for activity and work of employees from 2021 calendar year, January to December. And we had some awardees. Our civilian member, Miss Nelson, was Civilian of the Year, Prince George's County. Officer Ortiz was Officer of the Year, Prince George's County. I posted some photos, just some, there are many, many more that I'm gonna try to get posted as soon as possible. And I just wanted to let everybody know it was a very festive event. All of the municipalities and most of the other agencies were represented, and they all got plaques and recognition from the county. The county executive spoke at the event, so it was very nice event. I think that's about it, man. We got it.
Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
I got one question, Chief. I want to let you go away with that question.
Go ahead.
Since Shepard has left early, there's a reimbursement he needs to make to the town for his uniforms and all.
He has a contract that requires him to fulfill a 3-year obligation. If he fails to fulfill the 3-year obligation, then he will have to reimburse the town for uniforms and equipment and services like polygraph, psychological tests, physicals, and drug screening. So Rod and I put together a nice package and gave him a letter giving him options about how we can reimburse him. So we're in the middle of that process, and we're doing our due diligence. Rod, did you want to add anything to it? We've done all
No, I think it's going to be fine. He chose the option on his next paycheck. The reimbursement will occur.
Excellent. Okay. And which department did he end up going with?
University Park.
Okay. So he's still staying down here.
He's coming from Frederick.
Yeah.
He's coming back down 270. And from my understanding, I'm telling his business, he's going from 47 to 62.
Okay. I didn't know whether he'd step that way because there's a couple of towns up there that are offering big money too. So I thought he'd try to stay closer to home.
So. All right.
Mr. Barnes, is there anything you wanted to mention?
Just a
before
few
we,
things.
break?
One, September, we had talked about going back to live council meetings. We haven't determined if that's the case or not, so we need some direction on that. The September 6th work session is the day after Labor Day holiday. And so I also wanted to know if you wanted to move that to like we've been doing here with the same night as council, because we do not meet in August. And then a couple of other things. Mr. Johnson over on Gallatin and Lafayette has requested a quiet zone. And I know that's probably not feasible, but he keeps asking over and over and over and thinks it's a simple process. So maybe there's some discussion that could occur on that or some direction I could give him back about that.
Did we ever start using those sound decibel meters?
Chief, to unmute yourself.
Ms. Chester, I appreciate the question. We've probably used it 100 times now. Some of the officers carry it with them or they come back, pick it up. Anytime there's an issue, loud party or noise emanating from a business, we'll go, everybody's trained on the use of the noise meter. So it has served us well over the last maybe 3 or 4 months.
And is that something that we can share with a resident to show how many times they've been used, whether there's been an infraction or a citation or a warning? That kind of documentation might be reassuring to a resident who's concerned about noise. And if you have the times, like when they've been deployed, or I don't know what the term is for a decibel meter, are you deploying it? Or, but I mean, I think that would be reassuring for a resident if you say you've used it hundreds of times to show, like, look, we're trying to enforce. That would be
right. We can certainly share that information. You know, I can almost add it since we're doing the summer months. Let's say from May to October 1, because that's the time when people are out and having parties and things. I'll just add that to my monthly report and we'll just report it as a matter of course. So I'll make a note to do that. We can do that.
And then, Mayor, the last thing I had was we're working hard and trying to get going with the fall calendar and a lot of different events. And so later this week or next, we're going to talk about some of the things that we'd like to get scheduled, being cognizant that August is your break time. But Avery has been approached by Greater Riverdale Group to do a Hispanic event, and I'm going to let her tell you more about that because it seems like it's an exciting opportunity for us to celebrate.
It really does. Good evening, all. The Greater Riverdale area has approached us to host a Latino Heritage Resource Fair. They are the group that has led the soccer tournament that we had in the spring. They've also the group that has worked with Abel's group and helped us with the tree planting Arbor Day. And so they're very resource driven and they have a great plan and just want to partner with us to get something going. It will be on the 8th of October. And they want to know if we would agree to allow them to use the rec room center and its field area, and we work with them on making this occur.
They have suggested that they would have potentially representatives from Mexico, Guatemala, El Salvador consulates. They would have all kinds of, they listed a whole slew of Hispanic agencies that the Hispanic population go to for assistance and help.
As
They
well as
had-
performers as
Right,
well. So
right.
a number of performers, food vendors, and the like. So really sounds like a worthwhile endeavor to partner.
And that's like good timing since we've lost some of our key volunteers from our last Hispanic Heritage event, that it would be hard to pull one together all by ourselves, given that we
Correct.
lost some of the key volunteers from last year.
Correct. And it helps us to continue our partnership that we're already developing already on a number of other events that we've done so.
Mhm.
Sounds like a win-win for all.
I agree.
Mhm.
We just got that today, so late this afternoon. So we certainly appreciate your feedback. It would allow us to be in a support role versus planning role.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
from that standpoint, it's positive. But we have a whole host of other activities that we'll be discussing with Mayor Gant and everybody else that you all have suggested, the walk and talk, the business meetings, the hands across the bridge, those kinds of the doggy days event. All of those we're going to try to get set up here so we can get the fall calendar out. We have trunk and treat, we have the baskets, we have adopt a child. Fall becomes our really, really busy time. So we want to make sure we get that going for y'all so that you know when they're happening and when folks can volunteer. We have a September 8th salsa event that Abel is doing with his group, planning with us, where we learn to salsa and make salsa. So that sounds like kind of a fun activity in the evening. That's a Thursday evening. He wants to try an evening after people come home from work. So it'd be interesting to see what kind of results that will get. This Friday, Bethany is hosting all of her colleagues from the Chesapeake Conservation Corps, and they'll be at Eco City Farms and here in the town. At the end of 51st place, they'll be turning that garden area into a Zen garden. She got a grant to do this, and she's worked really hard with, they're going to be building a trail through with gravel, putting in a couple of benches, a solar powered water fountain. She has tiki torches, but I'm not sure the tiki torches would last very long in that particular area. But anyway, she and our interns from In Time Harvest Ministry today started that process, and we'll be working on that in a big way on Friday. And thank everybody for the help and presentation to the America in Bloom advisors. We get our report the end of, actually the first week of October. And so it'll be exciting to see what they say. But I've had so many compliments of how beautiful the town looked and is continuing to look, other than the problems with the flooding that we experienced. But thank you one and all for that effort, and we hope we can keep that up. And that's it, Mayor.
All
Just
right.
back to the
Great.
September work session and council meeting feedback.
Okie dokie. So council, I'm going to close out this meeting if there isn't anything else, so that we can have a quick break between now and 7 p.m. We should have a short council meeting as far as what we have on the agenda, other than conversation that'll happen in the beginning of the meeting. So if there isn't anything else, go ahead and take a break, and I'll see you at 7. Thank you so much.